We've discussed Lewis symbols, so now we need to talk about Lewis dot structures. So Lewis dot structures use Lewis symbols to indicate the formation of covalent bonds. And we use Lewis dot structures to depict bonding in molecules and polyatomic ions. An example is two chlorine atoms coming together to form a bond. They can share two electrons to form what we call a single bond. So we can also draw this Lewis dot structure this way. The sharing of electrons of two electrons is a single bond. Something that's really important to notice when Cl2 is formed, chlorine gas, is now each chlorine has a noble gas configuration when this bond is formed. So this bond is very stable because each chlorine has this now filled sublevel because these two electrons are being shared between these two chlorine atoms. And other halogens such as fluorine gas, bromine liquid, or iodine, which is a solid, also form bonds like those in the chlorine molecule, a single bond between two atoms and three lone pairs of electrons around the atoms. And this is because it allows them again to have this noble gas configuration. The tendency of main group elements to form enough bonds to obtain 8 valence electrons is known as the Octet Rule. And the number of bonds that an atom can form can usually be predicted by the number of electrons needed to reach an octet, or 8 valence electrons. Carbon is a great example. Carbon has 4 valence electrons. So carbon wants to form 4 single bonds often to reach an octet. An example is if carbon forms methane, which is CH4, now a carbon is sharing electrons with hydrogen and now has a completely full octet. Nitrogen, on the other hand, has 5 valence electrons. So nitrogen will typically form 3 single bonds to reach a full octet. An example is ammonia. And ammonia has a Lewis dot structure. That looks like this. And again, you can see that ammonia has a full octet. As we previously mentioned, when a pair of atoms shares one pair of electrons, we call this a single bond. However, a pair of atoms may need to share more than one pair of electrons to achieve this octet. If 2 pairs of electrons are shared, then this is called a double bond. Or if 3 pairs of electrons are shared, then this is a triple bond. So a couple examples: carbon monoxide, which is a very deadly gas. So if we were to draw the Lewis dot structure of carbon, again, it has 4 valence electrons, and oxygen has 6. So to achieve an octet between both of these atoms, we need to form a triple bond. So now carbon and oxygen each have 8 electrons, so now they have an octet. And we can also depict our triple bond in this way.